Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Lunos the Umbreon channel. I am your friendly neighborhood Lunos the Umbreon, and while I was watching Thorgi Arcade's video regarding a Godzilla fighting game, which you guys should definitely watch after this video, and rewatching Hazbin Hotel Seasons 1 and 2 for an upcoming video, which you guys should subscribe to the channel so that way you guys can see that video coming soon, it got me thinking, what if there was a Hellaverse fighting game? Because let's face it, there are some Hazbin Hotel and Helluva Boss fans out there that would want to have a game regarding either one of the series or both series, whether it be a fighting game, a racing game, something like what Glitch Productions did with their series. And since Hazbin Hotel and Helluva Boss have confirmed that they're going to be crossing over with each other soon, it would definitely make sense for there to be a game with both series included, and having characters from both of the series included with each other as well. Like imagine a fighting game with Angel Dust having a gunfight with Blitz, or Alistair and Stolas in a brawl of dark magic. I mean, the possibilities for a Hellaverse fighting game are endless. So for this video, I want to try to take a crack at making a potential roster for a Hellaverse fighting game. But first off, I want to go over a few rules. First off, the base roster for our fighting game is going to include 18 total characters, mainly because the majority of fighting games out there do have 18 characters as a base roster. There are some that have a lot more, but there's also some that have less, and 18 does seem to be like the majority of the main roster for fighting games. And to make things more interesting, I'm going to be including 9 characters from both series, bringing the total to 18. Thirdly, I won't be going over each character's movesets or their ultimate moves or anything like that, just to refrain this video from being an hour long. Fourthly, since there's definitely going to be characters from both series that aren't going to be included in the main roster, I'm going to be including a DLC with 6 extra fighters, 3 different characters from both series, just to make things more interesting, since I know there's going to be a lot of people out there that might disagree with some of the picks that I chose for the roster. And lastly, this is just for fun, but if there's a roster that you preferred over mine, let me know down in the comments below. I'd honestly be very interested to hear your opinions on this. Okay, now with that out of the way, let's finally get into this, starting with the Hazbin roster with
Harley Morningstar.
To start the roster, we have the main protagonist of Hazbin Hotel herself, Charlie Morningstar. And right off the bat, she's already a little bit tricky to work with, since unlike the majority of other characters in the show, she isn't really much of a fighter, but that also doesn't mean she can't throw hands though. She would definitely be a puppet fighter, I would imagine, having attacks that would involve her pyrokinesis, or in less fancy terms, her ability to use fire. Basically a firebender. Since she's one of the more powerful demons in hell, she would definitely deal a lot of damage, but with her pacifistic nature, she would definitely start off weak, but then would grow to be more powerful and deal a lot more damage as the fight progresses. She would also have a recovery with her being able to use her shield, and once the fight continues, her demon form could come out, similar to Kazuya from Smash Ultimate. You could definitely get creative with her moveset, whether it be using her stronger demon powers or simply using her fire abilities. And even for alt skins, I could imagine her having her pilot design, her full demon form, and potentially even the dress that she wore in the Season 2 finale.
Vaggie.
Next on the list is the former Exorcist Angel, Vaggie. Now Vaggie is easier to work with, since she's a fighter in the relationship with Charlie, and it's also considered the muscle of the Hazbin Hotel gang. And also including her history of murdering demons, it's not really hard to see why. I could see her being a rushdown fighter, since she usually rushes into fights without much thought, something that all the other Angel Exorcists are known to do. And I could see her definitely using her spear as her primary weapon, jabbing at the enemies to keep them at bay, or throwing it at opponents for long range attacks. And she could also use her wings to close the distance or fly away to create distance. And if she does lose her spear, she could also use her superhuman strength to gain the upper hand on the enemy, since she's also shown to lift other demons with ease. For her alt skins, I could see her having her pilot design, her combat suit in the Season 1 finale, and even her Exorcist design with or without her helmet.
Alistair.
Now we have arguably the most famous in the entire Hellaverse fandom, Alistair. He would definitely be a set play character, utilizing his shadow manipulation powers, his teleportation, and his surprising speed and agility to gain the upper hand on the battlefield. He would also use his unpredictability against the opponents, using his shadow minions, shadow tentacles, and claw slashes for close range attacks, and bringing the opponent up close and personal. He would also definitely be one of the more agile characters on this roster, since he's shown to dodge attacks from Atom and Shockwave with ease. For his alt skins, he would definitely have his pilot design, his full demon form, his neon color scheme in Hell's Greatest Dad, and maybe even Human Alistair, though I honestly don't really think that would work with a lot of his other abilities, but hey, it could work, since Alistair would be one of the stronger characters on this roster, since he is arguably the only character who showcases the most of his powers.
Husk.
Next up is my personal favorite Hellaverse character, Husk. He would be our first zoner / mid-range fighter on this list. He would be able to utilize his cards for close and long range attacks, and his explosive dice to keep the enemy at bay and control the battlefield. Much like Vaggy, he can use his wings to close the distance or keep his distance from the enemy. And again, he could use his magic abilities to keep his enemies confused and gain the upper hand on them, since he is a magician cat, and he's also shown more of his abilities during his fight against Velvet. For his alt skins, I can imagine him having his pilot design, his outfit for when he was an overlord, and maybe, and this may be a bit of a stretch, maybe even his original design back when he was white. Though he doesn't really have many outfits, so I'm working with what I have, okay? Don't blame me.
Angel Dust.
Now, we probably have the second most popular Hellaverse character, Angel Dust. Now, Angel would be our first pure zoner fighter. His primary weapons are Tommy guns, and he's shown to be very good at using multiple of them at once. He would definitely use these to keep his opponents at bay, and also use his agility to surprise and shoot them at point blank range. But unfortunately, he would probably be our first glass cannon character as well, since he isn't really good at taking hits as well, hence why I refer to him as a glass cannon. But for his alt skins, obviously he would have his pilot design, probably even his battle outfit in Season 1, his cowboy outfit in Season 2, and also maybe even his drag queen design in Season 2, though that might be a bit of a stretch. He would definitely have a lot of outfits to work with here.
Nifty.
Next up is another glass cannon character, Nifty. She would also be another rushdown character as well, able to use her surprising speed and agility to close the distance on her enemies, and use her needle or knife for fast rapid strikes and attacks. But if she does get caught or grappled, she probably wouldn't be able to take those hits anyways, since once she gets caught, she can't really seem to leave their grasp anyways. For her alt skins, I would imagine her having her pilot design, maybe the train conductor outfit from Season 2, and also, dare I say, this outfit. Listen, she also doesn't have a lot of outfits that she wears, so again, I'm working with what I have, okay?
Lucifer.
Now we have the King of Hell himself, Lucifer. Much like his daughter, he doesn't really have a lot to work with, but I could see him being a rushdown fighter and this might be a bit of a stretch, maybe even a tank. He might be able to dominate the battlefield with flashy, high damage attacks, like his wings to keep his distance, strong punches for close range attacks, and many of his other abilities to surprise his enemies, like his shape-shifting to get out of his enemies' attacks, or create weapons for close or long range attacks. For his alt skins, he would definitely have his pilot design, though we only have a few glimpses with that, so I don't really think that might work. His full demon form, and maybe even an angel design for him, for when he was in heaven, but we haven't really seen what he looked like in heaven yet, so that one might have to wait until Season 3 comes out.
Vox.
Now let's bring in another strong demon, Vox. I want to try to add other characters that aren't just a part of the main cast, since we basically already have all of them. And I also want to bring in other representation of other overlords, and Vox would definitely be a very great pick, since compared to the other Vs, he has the most potential for a fighter. I can see him being a rushdown fighter, since he's shown that he likes to get up close and personal with his enemies, utilizing his electric-based powers to stun his enemies as well. He could also use his electricity to teleport around the arena, his cords to restrain his enemies, and his sharp claws for close-range slashes. For his alt skins, I would imagine him having his pilot design, his old outfit for when he arrived in Hell, his suit in the Season 2 finale, and also potentially even Vincent as an alt skin, though again, I doubt that would work with many of his other abilities. But you could also argue a lot of other outfits that he wears, since he probably has a lot of outfits that could work for a fighting game. You never know.
Carmilla!
And to round out the Hazbin section of the roster, we have Carmilla Carmine. Listen, all I'm saying is that if you know me, you know why I had to add her on this list. Not just because of obvious reasons, but also she could also work very well in terms of converting her into a fighting game character. I could definitely see her working as another rushdown character, but also potentially a technician fighter, able to use her precision and agility to dodge attacks and stab and strike her opponents with her angelic ballet shoes. She also does have plenty of fighting experience under her belt, and has also showcased her surprising leg strength and her surprising speed and agility. For her alt skins, I could see her having her pilot design, maybe the outfit that she wore when she killed the Exorcist, and also even the dress that she wore in Vox's party in Season 2. And that rounds out the Hazbin Hotel part of this roster. So now let's move on to the Helluva Boss part and see which characters would work for a fighting game.
Blitz!
Our first Helluva Boss character is the boss of IMP himself, Blitz. He would undoubtedly be a zoner slash rushdown hybrid, and since his main specialty is flexing his Second Amendment rights, but he also isn't afraid to get physical when the situation calls for it. He could use some melee attacks like stabbing people with his knife or surprising his opponents with his tail as another limb, and could also obviously use his wide variety of guns at his disposal for his advantage. For his alt skins, he also, much like Vox, has plenty of different outfits to work with here. And maybe the outfit that he wore on his date with Stolas and Aussies, his snow outfit in Mission Antarctica, and also, again, much like I said, his wide variety of outfits and disguises that he wears, my personal favorite being his outfit in Mission Big Boss. He would be the perfect pick for those kind of fighters who just love to dive into battles and just fight without a second thought in their minds.
Millie!
Now we've got the muscle of IMP, Millie. She would be our first aggressive brawler, diving headfirst into fights with her battle axe, ready to slice and dice her enemies into sashimi. But I also feel like she would be another glass cannon character, since she's shown to not really take attacks well, getting knocked out and overwhelmed by stronger foes. But that doesn't mean that she would undoubtedly one of the strongest fighters on this list, using her overwhelming strength, immense speed, and her strong bite to shred through opponents with ease. I mean, just look at what she did with all the loan sharks and see why I would say she's one of the stronger fighters. For her alt skins, I could see her having her Mildred disguise, her Wrath outfit, and also even her assassin outfit that she wore in flashbacks. She would be a great character for those kind of fighters who just love the muscly characters in fighting games.
Moxie!
Next up is the other end of the Eminem dynamic duo, Moxie. Now, unlike basically all the other members of IMP, Moxie isn't really known for being strong, but he is known for his great usage and firepower. For this fighting game, he would be our pure zoner fighter of IMP, utilizing his firepower and his strategy rather than just using brute force and pure muscle. And he would also be able to set up traps across the battlefield to manage the distance between him and his enemies so that they wouldn't be able to get to him. And also he would be able to switch between different guns like pistols and snipers. For his alt skins, I could see him wearing the dress that he wore in Truth Seekers, the disguise in Unhappy Campers, and the trench coat that he wore in Mission Whacked Off. But much like a lot of other characters on this list, he doesn't really have a lot to work with in terms of alt skins. But he would be a good choice for the strategist players out there.
Luna.
And rounding out the IMP members is everyone's favorite Hellhound waifu to simp after, Luna. Now, I can imagine her being an extremely aggressive rushdown fighter, emphasizing her high speed to close down the distance on foes for strong slashes and bites. And with her ability to shapeshift into an actual Hellhound, she would also use this form for short bursts of speed and stronger bites and attacks. For her alt skins, I can see her getting her human form, the dress she wore in Queen Bee, and also maybe even the outfit that she had in the flashback in Ghostbusters. She would be a good pick for those players that like playing as strong female characters, or just like playing as their favorite wolf waifu.
Stolas.
Next up is the newest member of IMP, Stolas. Now for this character, I can imagine him being a zoner or summoner character, specializing in controlling the fighting arena with magical projectiles, creating portals to escape messy situations, and using his telekinetic abilities to lift opponents and or other opponents for harder hitting attacks. And he could also use his Grimoire for even more powerful spells and attacks. Now, even if he may not be super strong, he can throw surprisingly strong physical strikes. I mean, just ask Andrea over here. For his alt skins, I could see him having the outfit that he wore on this date with Blitz and Ozzy's, his human disguise introduced in Seeing Stars, and his outfit that he wore in Lululand. He would be a pretty speedy fighter as well, and also a good choice for those players who prefer to use magical characters.
Fizzaroli.
Next up is Blitz's clown friend and lover to the sin of lust, Fizzaroli. Now, I understand that Fizz isn't necessarily a fighter, but that doesn't mean that we can't work with what we got here. Now, he's shown to be pretty speedy and elastic, so I could see him being a zoner or a puppet fighter, using his many different clown props to keep his opponents at a distance, and also using his flexible cybernetic limbs to reach for opponents for close range attacks, or just to keep them at a distance, like springing up in the air like a rubber hose cartoon character, or spin dashing around the arena like RoboFizz does. And speaking of which, for his alt skins, he would definitely have RoboFizz as an alt skin. Now, I also debated on whether or not I should separate RoboFizz as his own fighter or basically make him as an alt skin, but seeing how Fizzaroli and RoboFizz are basically the same and they have basically the same abilities, I just decided to make RoboFizz an alternate skin for him. For other alternate skins, I could see Fizz having his outfit in Full Moon, and also maybe even an outfit that showcases his broken horns. While Fizzaroli may not be a fighter, he would definitely showcase his flexibility and agility when the situation calls for it.
And Realphus.
Our next fighter is Elsa as a demonic peacock, Andrea, who is also a big hypocrite. I'm sorry, I cannot get that out of my mind after the latest Helluva Boss short. Anyways, he would be yet another zoner slash puppet fighter, focusing on long range icy attacks, trapping opponents in ice, and maintaining his arrogant high class persona. He would also be able to use his icy powers to keep the high ground and create structures and shields to keep his opponents away from him. And he would also be able to create icy minions as well, similar to Alistair's shadow minions, in order to distract his opponents so that he could go in for the kill. And while he doesn't have any other outfits that he wears, the only thing that I could think of is the outfit that he wore in Chaz's funeral. Oh wait, I'm sorry, it's actually his twin brother, Zach.
And also, I still can't get it out of my mind how much of a big hypocrite Andrea is.
Striker.
Our second to last fighter on this roster is the Wrath Cowboy himself, Striker. He would also likely be a zoner, but also maybe even a grappler fighter as well, mainly focusing on precise shots, dirty tactics, and also using his angelic lasso to restrain opponents and close the distance on them. Much like Blitz, he's also a pretty good hand-to-hand combatant when guns are out of the picture, though he can be physically overwhelmed by stronger opponents or even when he's ambushed. He could also switch between weapons much like Moxie, such as between his angelic revolvers to his sniper rifle, to his knife, and to his lasso. And he would also be equal to Blitz in terms of strength, weapons, and physicality. Basically, a perfect counter for glass cannons and other speedy fighters, and a perfect counter for Blitz. For his alt skins, he could have his outfit that he wore at the end of the Harvest Moon Festival, though that's hardly different from his regular outfit, and his outfit that he wore in the Trials of Mastermind, but again, it doesn't really seem that much different from his usual outfit.
Osmodeus.
And rounding out the end of our main roster is the first sin introduced in the series, the Sin of Lust himself, Osmodeus. Now, this might be a bit of a hot take to put Ozzy here out of all the other characters, but I'd imagine he would be a great pick, since not only was he the first sin introduced, but it would also be good to have more variety on here, since we nearly have the entirety of Hell's hierarchy on this one roster, except for maybe one other tier, but we'll get to that one later. Anyways, it would be really nice to end the roster with one of the more stronger demons in Hell, and also adding at least one sin here. Now, in terms of his playability, I'd imagine he would be a pure grappler fighter with slow movements, but also immense strength and high health. His movement would likely utilize his literal firepower to burn enemies, potentially using lust-themed magic to hypnotize his enemies, and his overwhelming strength to overpower weaker foes. And while we haven't really seen him in a fight, he was also willing to fight with Mammon, so it's likely that he does have some fighting experience, though that might be just be in the moment. And there aren't really a lot of outfits for him to work with, though the one outfit that I can see him having as an alt skin would be the outfit that he wore in Mastermind. Alright, and that rounds up the end of our main roster for our potential Hellaverse fighting game. Now, just a quick recap, we've got Charlie, Vaggie, Alistair, Husk, Angel Dust, Nifty, Lucifer, Vox, Carmilla, Blitz, Moxie, Millie, Luna, Stolas, Fizzaroli, Andrea, Striker, and Osmodeus. Now, you might be thinking that's where this video ends, and you also might be thinking where this character is or where that character is. Well, ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce to you our DLC Fighter Pass. Remember when I said earlier about there being a Fighter Pass? This is what I was talking about. And also, as I said earlier, in case you forgot, this Fighter Pass, or this DLC, whatever you want to call it, will include 6 new characters, 3 characters from Hazbin Hotel, 3 characters from Helluva Boss, all coming together for 6 extra fighters for our DLC. So let's start off with Hazbin Hotel with
Cherry Bomb.
our first DLC fighter is everyone's favorite Cyclops bomber, Cherry Bomb. I'd imagine her being a zoner / rushdown fighter, similar to other characters that specialize in setups or that just spam projectiles. She would probably be yet another glass cannon character, but she would also be one of those hard to catch characters, since she's shown to be very fast, jumping atop from rooftops and using her bombs to leverage herself to higher grounds. For her alt skins, I could see her having her pilot design, the outfit that she wore in the Season 1 final battle, and the new outfit that she wore in Season 2, though again, much like other characters on this list, she doesn't wear any other outfits, so she's kind of hard to work with here. But she would be the perfect character for those types of players that just love to spam the same attacks over and over again, either because they don't know any of the attacks or how to play the game.
Serpentious.
Next up is everyone's favorite steampunk snake boy, Serpentious. I'd imagine him being a zoner mad scientist kind of fighter, utilizing his many gadgets, and also using tricky setups to control the battlefield and keep his opponents at bay. He could set up many different traps around the arena, and maybe even use his egg boys to distract his enemies to go in for the killing blow. Now, he would definitely be yet another glass cannon character, maybe also even a pure glass cannon, since he's shown to be the punching bag of the group. Mainly just being that one character that just gets beat up a lot, but he's also shown to be taking those hits pretty well. For his alt skins, definitely his pilot design maybe his human form, and also definitely his angel form. Though he might not be everyone's pick for this fighting game, he would definitely be a good pick for those guys that just love playing as underdogs.
Adam.
And rounding out the Hazbin end of the DLC is the first man himself, Adam. He would definitely be a rushdown heavy grappler fighter, since he's shown to rush in on his enemies to deal high amounts of damage on them. I'd imagine his playstyle focusing on overwhelming his opponents with axe strikes, holy light attacks, and strong punches and slaps. And also one idea that I'd imagine giving him is a pride gauge. As he hits more taunts, his damage increases, but if he gets hit, his pride drops and he loses an attack buff, which forces him to get more aggressive in order to try to maintain the battlefield. For his alt skins, I could see him having an alt without his helmet, and also, again, this might be a bit of a stretch, maybe even a center form for him. And also one idea for him is that he would probably be the final boss for a story mode in this hypothetical game. It would definitely be very interesting and a cool concept to see. Next up is our first Helluva Boss DLC character, and this one might be a bit of an out there pick, Verosica. Now look, she is probably the trickiest character to convert into a fighting game, since unlike basically everyone else on this list, she hasn't shown any fighting skills at all. So this is probably the part in this video where I ask you guys for ideas on a moveset for her, since she hasn't shown any other abilities or powers throughout the show that she has. But for her alt skins, she would definitely have her human disguise as one of them, her outfit in Apology Tour, and also many other outfits. Maybe even the outfit that she wore in Aussies, and maybe her outfit that she wore in her little cameo in Mastermind. But again, let me know in the comments below any moveset ideas that you have for her, because I'm basically stumped on this. Next up is the second sin introduced after Ozzy, Beelzebub. I'd imagine her being a rushdown / puppet fighter that could utilize her immense speed and agility to gain the upper hand, but I could also see her being a healer character. Since she's a sin of gluttony, she could summon food to heal herself from any damage dealt on her, and she could also use her speed for fast and rapid strikes, and also have probably even food-based projectiles. For her alt skins, I could see her having her outfit that she wore in Mastermind, and also the funeral outfit that she wore in Chaz's funeral. She would be a great pick for those kind of players that just love speedy, hard-to-hit characters.
Ronaldo.
And rounding out the DLC roster is our first surprise character, Ronaldo. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Why would you pick Ronaldo over someone else like Mammon? Now listen, hear me out. I understand he's a weird pick, but think about it. Every other fighting game has that one character that no one would expect in a fighting game. I mean, think about it. And he would also be a very interesting character to convert into a fighting game, with his ability to warp reality and other people's perceptions on reality, and his ability to possess people like Blitz. He would be another great fighter for a hypothetical fighting game. Now, I was debating on whether or not I should add other characters like Mammon, and I was also thinking of putting the Cherubs in here as my final pick, and also making them like the Ice Climbers in Smash. But I also thought it through and also realized that Ronaldo was another character. I mean, let's be honest, he was kind of forgettable, but I also thought of him as another fighter and probably the better pick, since he's arguably the better pick of the two, and he's also undoubtedly more powerful than the Cherubs. Now, in terms of his moveset, I would imagine him being a psychological zoner or a puppet fighter, operating on breaking his opponent's minds with traps and illusions, while his demon form controls the battlefield. While he doesn't really have any other outfits, he would definitely have his human disguise that he wore in his debut episode. Alright, and that brings up the end of our roster for our fighting game, consisting of the main roster and some additional DLC fighters. Now, again, this is my take on a Hellaverse fighting game, but I want to ask, do you guys agree or disagree with my take? Let me know down in the comments below. Are there any characters that you prefer on this roster, or do you prefer my roster? And also, while you're at it, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, like this video, and hit the notification bell to be notified when a brand new video is released. And if this video does well, maybe I'll make a part 2 on this video regarding more DLC fighters. And as you guys also may have noticed, I've been posting a lot of gaming videos on the channel now. And by a lot, I only mean 3. And this is mainly because I'm trying to experiment with new video ideas. But I know you guys voted for more Hellaverse videos on this channel. So I'm going to try to be posting more of those on that, as well as more Hellaverse episodes. And I'm also still going to be experimenting with gaming videos since you guys do kind of seem to enjoy those videos. And I also have plenty of Hellaverse videos coming soon, such as a what if video coming soon. And also, again, plenty more gaming videos coming soon, so make sure you guys subscribe for those videos. Anyways, with all that being said, and also coming to the end of this 14-page script, thank you guys so much for watching this video till the end. I've been your host, Lunos the Umbreon, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.